In this session, we will talk about Hue. So we'll talk about overview, Hue architecture, setting up Hue using Cloud Manager, and we will see a Hue demo. So Hue consolidates all the Hadoop ecosystem tools under one web interface. It is not it itself is not a Hadoop tool in the Hadoop ecosystem. Okay, but it will consolidate all the Hadoop ecosystem tools, and it will bring into under one umbrella or one web interface. One can upload data into HDFS using Hue web interface, or manipulate HDFS using Hue web interface. One can run most of the tools in Hadoop ecosystem using it. No need to struggle with command line interface, especially when it comes to doing POCs or supporting POCs. I will highly recommend to use Hue. But day-to-day jobs, you should not use Hue for operations purpose. But for POCs, to reduce the turnaround time for the execution of POCs, Hue is a very good tool. Everyone can leverage Hue for day-to-day or one-time activities. When I say day-to-day, POC type of activities only, not the operation stuff. To support the clusters or anything, you should not use Hue. But to developers or testers, if they want to validate certain things, they can leverage Hue on daily basis as well. But administrators for operations purpose, they should never use Hue because Hue is not for that. It follows the typical web application architecture. We will have a Hue server, which will be running on a web server. And then when we actually configure, Cloud Manager will make sure you understand all the Hadoop ecosystem tools in the cluster, and it will configure them. Once we set it up, we just need to start the service. So we'll quickly go to the Cloud Manager Management Console. Click on Home. And again, you can click on this to add a service. And now we are talking about Hue. Click on it and hit continue. And then it will list all the services. And if you see, for all the different combination of services, there are 5 mandatory stuff: HDFS, Hive, Uzi, Yarn, and Zookeeper. Impala, Scoop, and HBase are not mandatory, but the rest of the stuff are mandatory. If you do not configure them, it will start showing it as an issue. In this case, we will be configuring it for everything. So click on the second one, which includes everything: HBase, HDFS, Hive, Impala, Uzi, Scoop, Yarn, and Zookeeper, and hit continue. And you can configure whatever server you want for Hue. In this case, I will configure it in, it requires Uzi. It's just that they configure that way. If you disable it, it will show it as an issue. And without Uzi, you cannot actually add the service also. And there is an interface in Uzi where you can actually submit Uzi jobs also. You can develop, as a developer, you can develop Uzi jobs using the Hue interface, and you can submit the jobs as well. Click on Finish. It's starting. I think it is already started. It is already started. You can click on this one, and you can click on Hue web user interface. It uses port number 8888, and the first time you can use admin as the username and password. And it follows typical roles and permissions like many of the tools. And if you want to maintain manage users for the Hue, you can actually start creating users using this interface. You can click on this and click on Manage Users, and you will see something like this. And you can create users from here. You can click on add user. You can integrate with LDAP also. Add user. I'm giving my username. And then I can control. I can even create groups which I'm not interested at this time. I can say whether he is a super user or not. So there are very limited permissions and users details as of now in Hue. But you can actually, if you want to give permissions to developers, as an admin, you should not give super user status to developers. So you can just create a username for them and leave as it is, and then they will be able to use Hue for most of the stuff that is required for the developers. Okay. Once that is done, you can click on add user. Password is Hadoop. Cannot make home directory for users D. Gadiraju because there is no OS user called D. Gadiraju. So what it is saying is whenever you try to create a user in Hue, it will create a directory in HDFS. It will try to create a directory in HDFS under /user. Here it will try to create a user. So if you do not have OS user, it might give error. Okay. So actually, when you try to let me come out of this. I'm logging out, and I'm giving the Gadiraju Hadoop. Okay, now if you see, it should create a directory here. I think because there is no OS user, it is not creating. Let me try it again. I am signing out and logging in as admin. Okay, and let me do user add. Sorry. Okay. So user is created, D. Gadiraju. Now let me go to manage users, delete it. Yes. Now let me create add user. Cannot make home directory for user D. Gadiraju. Okay, that is not that important. I think I know what is the issue actually. The reason is Hadoop SS minus Hadoop SS minus LS /user. Actually, when we first created admin, when we actually log in as admin in Hue, it created the directory over here. Hue created it like this. Now, when I try to add users, admin does not have the permission on the /user. That's why it is not able to create that user. Let me tweak a little bit. Sudo Hadoop ss ch mod ch1 admin super group /user admin. Okay, now let me see whether I will be able to create. Add user, Raju, Hadoop, Hadoop. Oh, it failed. So sudo su hdfs. Now if I run this, now let me delete it. Yes. Now add user, Raju, Hadoop, Hadoop. No, so for some reason it is not able to. Anyway, you can actually go to Hue. You can actually go to Hue documentation, and you can see how to create users and manage the HDFS using Uzi. Okay. At this time, we will move on and we will show the rest of the stuff. After the admin, the next important one is file browser. Okay, there is something wrong. Query editors, Hive. That's why it is not showing up. Select count of one from single deck. Okay. Okay, I think there is some issue with Hue configuration that is not letting me add the users, but the queries and all are working. I need to troubleshoot this issue. Typically, when I click on file browser, it should show me the location. So now I ran the Hive query. So Hive, you can see all the query editors here. Hive is to run the Hive queries. Impala is to run the Impala queries. You can choose Impala, and you can choose the database from which you want to query, and you can run the query. Okay, and execute it. So now it is Impala query is also ran. And if you look at this, it is talking about DB query. And in this, you can actually connect to MySQL databases, and you can run databases. You can run queries against the databases. What it is saying is, go to your Hue configuration and add a database under the RDBMS section. So what you have to do is, you go to the Cloud Manager, click on configuration, and for all the services which we have selected earlier when we try to configure, you can see all the services here. You can see Uzi, HBase, Hive, Impala, etc. At any time, if you want to disable Impala or Scoop, which are not mandatory, or HBase, you can select none, and from that point, you will not be able to run Impala queries or HBase related stuff or Scoop related stuff. Now we are talking about RDBMS. Where is RDBMS? No, not this one. RDBMS service. Let me search for the RDBMS. Then why it is asking to, there are currently no databases configured. Please go to Hue configuration and add a database under the RDBMS section. And when we go to the Hue configuration and when we search for the RDBMS section, we are not getting anything. Let's see. Not this one. Service wide. You can go to instances. Let's see what it is saying, if there are anything here. Nothing here also. Action. Okay, there is no RDBMS section. So I think we need to go through the documentation to address that. And once you do that, and once you add database, you can actually query your MySQL database also from this interface. And then you can run the pig scripts also from here. For example, let's take the pig scripts does not run. Our original pig script also does not run for some reason. I will troubleshoot that issue. And if it is running, you can actually invoke the pig scripts directly from here as well. So this is about query editors. Query editors are mainly to submit the queries using different tools in Hadoop ecosystem. And then job designer is Uzi. So you can actually create jobs by clicking new action, and you can choose whatever action you want here. If you want map reduce, you can click map reduce. You can give the name and description, and you have to give the jar path using which jar you want to run the map reduce program, and you can add properties if there are any properties you want to override, and you can add files and archives also if you want more, those things to be included as part of the map reduce jobs, as part of the Uzi jobs. So this job designer is nothing but Uzi job designer or workflow designer. And when it comes to data browsers, if you click on data browsers and if you click on Metastore Manager, this one is related to Hive. You can click on the database name and you can look at the tables that are in Hive, and you can click on them. You can look at the column names, you can look at the sample of the data, and also you can look at the properties of the table. Okay, that is about Metastore tables. It is related to Hive. And HBase, you can actually look at the HBase tables. So if you remember, as part of the HBase demo, I have created a table called demo, and I have entered the data also. So you can actually look at the details here. So we have 3 rows, R1, R2, and R3. R1 have 3 columns. So C1, C2, and C3, and these are the values. Similarly, these are the values for R2, and this is the column key and column value for R3. So HBase is nothing but a key value pairs at both row level as well as column level. At row level, R1, R2, and R3 are the keys, and for each row key, there is column key and column values. For for row key R1, the column key and column values are C1, V1, C2, V2, and C3, V3. And as I mentioned to you earlier, data will be sorted based on rows, and within the row, based on the column names. So this is the you can actually query the data using this data browsers and clicking on HBase. And then Scoop used to run the Scoop jobs, I think. I'm not sure, I never used these two things. And workflows, what is the difference between job designer and workflow? I think both are same. It gives more insights about workflow. I never used this. You can explore it as well. But for most of the stuff, the file browser, query editors, and data browsers are enough. Okay, so that is about Hue. You can explore it further. It is evolving. It is not means with respect to file browser and query editors, it is pretty good. But for others, it is not yet stable. You will run into issues because of the permissions and all those things, and it is very tough to troubleshoot those issues. But they are slowly resolving those issues. So probably it might evolve into reliable components for all the aspects, not just file browser and query editors. Okay, that's it about Hue. It's